So I continue on the psychologist's intuition to develop a theory. I showed you already for one non-zero outcome what the formula is that psychologists like. But of course, you want more general, you want general probability distributions. So psychologists try to develop a theory that captures that intuition in general. That's what we're going to discuss now, how they did it. But in fact, they didn't. It was in fact the wrong formula that they did. In general, in this field, psychologists are better in bringing intuition and empirical realism, but economists are better in capturing regularities and making models. And the joint effort of the two has led the field to where we are now. I quite like to see that development. So I'm going to explain that. I'm explaining it quite slowly in this hour, but I'm continuing on it. So now we look at general outcomes. Probability distribution can be any probability distribution, finally many outcomes. And then a formula to generalize expected utility to capture the psychology intuition. So we want to have nonlinear transformation of probability in the formula. Now I invite you to stop the video and try to invent yourself what such a formula would be, a generalization of expected utility with nonlinear probability transformation in it. So I give you now, you can stop and write something and then come back. Okay, I assume you're done now. You wrote what you want to write, and as many people, almost everybody, will write this formula. So the utilities and then the probability transformed by the W function, we get this formula. And psychologists also use this formula at first, and for many years they were working with that formula to capture the intuition. And I'm gonna explain that there's something wrong with this formula. I do it slowly so you really get understanding of what is going on. And I'm going to assume for simplicity that utility is linear in the formula, just to capture the novelty of psychologists, make it simple otherwise. In fact, the whole reasoning that I do can just as well be done for general nonlinear utility, but for simplicity, I show it only for linear utility to you. The formula is in fact old. Already Edward Fair and Preston Barata 48, from the beginning, psychologists were using that formula. So it's a bit strange that it never went very far. In all those years. So such a good, because the intuition is good, we need how people feel about probabilities. How come it was never very popular? Anyway, the formula was revived in 1979 because two psychologists, Kahneman and Tversky, published a paper in a leading economic journal, Econometrica, where they introduced the prospect theory. They were basically, not exactly, but kind of using this idea. So then many economists look at it and had their opinion about it, and they are theoretically more sophisticated. So it was quickly discovered then, when economists started looking at it, that the formula is not good. There's a fundamental problem. You can't do it. And I'm going to explain that problem to you. And to explain it, I'm going to assume that W is not the identity, because if it's identity, we just have expected utility. There's nothing new and no problem. But the moment W is not the identity, so it's not equal to P for P, means it must be nonlinear. Now you take my word for it, that always there are two probabilities such that additivity is violated. W of P1 plus P2 is not W P1 plus W P2. Mathematicians have shown a Cauchy equation, thing like that, but you take my word for it, that then always exists two probabilities of that kind. And we're going to work from that. We're going to look at the first case where WP1 plus P2 is bigger than WP1 plus WP2. And I'm going to show you a problem that arises then. Take quite some time for that. The similar case where we have smaller than instead of bigger than, that the other case will be similar. And I'll shortly say how that works later. But we focus for quite a while. We're going to assume that you have probabilities P1 and P2 such that the above strict inequality holds. What I'm going to do to show you things going wrong, I'm going to put up some prospect. I'm going to determine the theoretical value according to that formula of the prospect. I'm going to play a bit with it. I'm going to change the outcome of the prospect to see how the theoretical value of the prospect changes. And then I'll do it in such a way, I'll show you that something happens so weird that no theory, nobody wants it. A horrible anomaly, showing that we'll need something different. But before doing that, I'm going to repeat some things from expected value and expected utility. I'm going to show you some figures that will help us to get the intuition. Basically, we are copying now the reasoning that John Quiggin did to invent his formula. But that will be in the next recording.